Hello everyone and welcome to Melyn Talk Support Matchups, where today I'm going to be talking about Nami, okay? So Nami's a tough lane in general, but that doesn't mean you have to lose. The reason why she's tough is because she provides a surprising amount of lane sustain. Even though her W, her heal, has a very high mana cost, it actually is very, very difficult to actually break through the sustain of Nami throughout potions and her W sustain, especially in longer lanes, okay? Without running out of mana or health yourself. So in addition to that, however, it's also very easy to get caught out by Nami with the slow from her E, the stun from her Q, or even especially when she's level 6, her ultimate can really easily catch you out, which makes a very intelligent play against Nami very necessary to succeed. So in general, it's a hard lane, but we can still succeed, and we're going to be talking a little bit about how to do that in this video, okay? And kind of a nice thing, but also maybe a less nice thing about Nami is that it's not a very snowbally lane. The pressure, whoever is winning the lane, can change very, very quickly. You can be down a few kills, but if you get one nice root onto Nami, or usually onto Nami, it's hard to burst down her AD carry in general. If you get a good root onto the Nami, you can get a very, very easy kill, even if you're already behind. So that is, again, one good thing or one bad thing, because again, you can also be doing very well and make one mistake and die very, very quickly as well. So the lane can kind of go either way at any point throughout the lane, no matter who has the momentum. Finally, a quick note I want to make for the end of this little introduction thing is a comment on whether to run Ignite or Exhaust against Nami. And in general, if there aren't any other factors, you should run Ignite against Nami because you want to burst her down or burst down the AD carry, and the Ignite will also reduce the healing that she does. That being said, one of the most important things about Nami lane is you have to kind of decide with your AD carry whether you're kind of going for a kill lane, trying to burst her down, or whether you're just farming. And it's okay, either decision is fine, but you need to have a very good, clear idea. And if you're just going to be farming, Exhaust is a much, much better summoner spell. The only reason you're going to run Ignite in any lane, really, but especially in this lane, is if you really think you're going to be going for a lot of kill pressure. All right, so it's okay to farm, in which case you're probably going to run Exhaust. You might even run some scaling runes if you're really greedy, or if you're going for kill pressure, you're probably going to run Ignite. So we're going to start off this video with a few general laning tips against Nami, and then we're going to have a little level-by-level guide on things to look for against Nami and what to expect, kind of. So one of the most important things to be aware of, and this is for really any sustain lane but especially against Nami, is the nature of how she pokes and how she's going to sustain, okay? So trading against sustain lanes is very different than trading against other lanes because they can, heal it back up. So you have to have a very favorable trade for it actually to be favorable at all. And this especially is impactful level 1 and level 2 before you get access to all 3 of your skills. But always be, I think, reticent to trade. Don't trade unless you have a very, very good trade or unless your AD carry needs the pressure. Because she's going to outtrade you early game and she's going to be able to heal it back up. So what that kind of means for you is that you're not going to be going out of your way to trade with a Nami early game. You're kind of going to want to wait until you have your E in order to do that. So what does that exactly mean for what you're doing? It means you're going to play with your AD carry, okay? So if your AD carry is trading, you want to trade with them. If your AD carry is not trading, you probably don't want to trade. So kind of have a reactionary plan for trading against this sustain lane, because really you're not going to be poking very much. Kind of the only poke you're usually going to be doing in a Nami lane is if she's out of mana, or if it's like a very, very favorable trade, somebody's caught out, kind of, and to farm gold. That's the third one. All right. So another thing to comment is Emax versus Qmax. Emax is usually if you want better poke. Qmax is if you usually want better poke. Emax is if you want better all-ins. So of course here, better poke's not going to help us much unless we have a lot of mana regen, because otherwise she's just going to sustain it all with her W, and then you're going to kind of be useless. So I highly recommend Emax against Nami, so that when you land a root, you actually can lock them into place long enough that you can secure the kill. With that in mind, Nami has a stain, Nami has engage, sort of. She is very, very squishy and immobile. She's very vulnerable to ganks, okay? So if the Nami lane does push, which can happen fairly often, she is vulnerable. So, you can call for your jungler. Just be careful that you don't get caught out first. And of course, you can't really control what your jungler's doing, but it's something to be aware of. All right, so that's kind of the general tips for Nami. Let's now look into level, what to do level 1, 2, 3, and level 6 especially. So level 1 is quite difficult against the Nami lane because most Namis will start her W, so she can trade into you by dealing damage to you and healing herself. So in general, you're not going to want to Q her again unless, kind of as I talked about earlier, she is overextending and you can get a very favorable trade. But if not, just try to shove the wave. Just try to get the early level 2 so that their team doesn't really have the chance to poke or out sustain you level 1. So just kind of maybe even Q the wave, probably not, but maybe Q the wave if they're passive, auto attack a lot of the minions and try to get that early level 2 to give space for your AD carry. And in general, you can still auto attack to trade, but it's usually not a very good idea unless all of their skills on cooldown and the AD carry is going for a last hit, because you're just going to get out traded level 1. So the best thing you can do is just get level 1 over with as soon as possible. One thing that could help potentially, again, it's not really going to help your level 1, but since you're not going to do much level 1 anyway, and it will help your level 2, is you can start E level 1. In general, I don't like to do this, but it can, again, it's not really going to hurt because you're not going to Q much level 1 anyway, and it can give you a lot more pressure level 2 as well, because you can actually EW her, the Nami level 2, and have a lot more kill pressure. All right, so that's something to be aware of. Either way, I highly recommend going W level 2. Which brings us to what to do level 2. So level 2 is when you have to start being really, really scared of the Nami. But not that scared, I guess. So use your skills to kind of help your AD carry with pressure. And again, I'm saying pressure more than poking, because you want your AD carry to have space to farm. You don't want them to be losing a lot of health. You don't want them to be losing a lot of CS. You want to be giving them pressure. So play with them, play up, but not further up and also not further back, and kind of only trade when the AD carry is getting harassed on. And that way you can kind of give a safer environment until the AD carry and you hit level 3, which is really the most favorable part of this matchup for you, and level 6, depending on who gets caught out, the Nami or the Zyra. So you're probably going to want to mostly save your seeds. We get that free seed if we scale up W, but we don't want to waste it, because then if someone gets stunned, or if they, depending on whether she scales stun or E, or if the AD carry, because if the AD carry gets the E, it's going to slow you and you're going to need some way to trade back. Usually it's best to just save the plant and wait for level 3. Kind of bide your time and just protect your AD carry. So this is defensive attacking, not aggressive attacking level 2. Once you get level 3, this is when you really have a lot of options, Zyra into Nami. And this is my favorite part of the lane, because it's very, very often, especially with Ignite, to kill the Nami when she's trying to harass you, when she's trying to stun you, something like that. So again, in a Nami lane, if the Nami's passive, there's not really too much you can do besides farming gold on the AD carry. But if the Nami's aggressive, you have a lot of opportunities to get a kill. Okay, so once you're level 3, you're going to have access to all of your spells. And in general, you're going to want to play around the harass patterns of the Nami. So if you find that the Nami is trying to W a lot or Q you a lot, play around that. Or if you're harassing a lot and the Nami is expecting you to harass, play around that as well. So oftentimes what's useful is not just moving forward to harass, but moving forward to act like you're harassing. And this can often bait spells, and then you can get spells on cooldown, or sometimes they're going to be going into you and you're like, okay, I'm going to bait this bubble or bait this W, and you can just get a nice EW QW combo and get a very significant chunk on the Nami. And that's kind of what the level 3 is all about, baiting their skills and kind of just noticing the play patterns in the lane and playing around that. And this is, one of the best things in general to land and dodge poke, is to just be aware of laners' natural tendencies. And most people, myself included, are very, very binary in how they play. It's usually the same thing, or it's kind of obvious what's going on if you actually think about it. Because, very often we fall into these tendencies and these patterns of what we usually do. Enemy does the same thing. So just focus on finding those patterns and playing around it. And especially level 3 is when you really need to communicate with your AD carry. Sometimes it's best to do this level 1 and just say, hey, farm or kill. Especially if the AD carry is on an off roll, don't demand too much of them. But especially level 3, this is when you have kill threat, and you don't want to make yourself vulnerable if the AD carry is just trying to last hit and farm. And I say this is especially important level 3. It's always important, but especially important level 3 because that's when I believe you should be going for kill pressure on the Nami. Again, it's very hard in general to kill the AD carry of a Nami, but it can be a lot easier to kill the Nami herself. She's very squishy, very immobile, and that's probably your best bet. Levels 4 and 5 are pretty much the same as level 3. And keep putting those points in your E. Keep going for kills. Try not to waste your E. Only use it if you think it's going to land. And then once you get to level 6, this is when there's going to be blood. It's a very, very good idea to tell your jungler, hey, level 6 is a very, very important time for a Nami Zyra lane. One of us is going to die. If you're here, it's more likely that it's the Nami, less likely that it's me, okay? And again, we can only ask our junglers to do so much, but, provide them with information for them to make decisions, and you have a better chance of things going well for you. So the reason why there's so much blood is, again, if you land a root, it's almost a guarantee kill, or at the very least flash on the Nami with an EW QWR combo, or maybe just EWR QW just to really guarantee that knockup. But likewise, it's very easy to get caught out and killed by the Nami at this point, because the Nami can just use her ultimate on you, and you just have to hope that you're fast enough to run out of it. Or very often you're going to have to flash out of it, because if she lands her ultimate, she's going to land her Q, and then that's already so much damage, not even counting the damage that AD carry is going to be doing with the Nami E as well. So it's a very volatile point in the matchup, and level 6 is going to be very, very bloody on average. And I feel like that's kind of it for Nami. It's mostly just playing around the sustain, deciding whether you want to kill or not, and baiting out skill shots. We're going to be doing some more videos in the future. Thank you guys for watching or listening. Remember, as a reminder, I do upload audio-only versions of all of these Melyn Talks videos. So if you want to watch it on the road, or you don't really want to download as much, you can click the link in the video description. Check it out. I upload all of them to the same part of my Google Drive. Thank you guys for watching, and may your enemies feel the thorns embrace.